More than £20 billion gets spent in the UK each Christmas, and a third of all books, clothes and toys are sold in the last 8 weeks of the year. 150 million Christmas cards get sent, 7.5 million trees are decorated, and we buy enough wrapping paper to gift wrap Guernsey. So, let's just take a few moments then together and try to remember, why is Christmas Day on December the 25th?
Ring, ring, ring a ding.
And it's the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Wallamy, wallamy, woo.
Well, I thought we'd get it out of the way.
Yes.
Is that a very, very small fire, or are those huge stuff?
It's a midwinter solstice. It's a pagan festival that's been appropriated by Christianity.
There is a great deal of truth in that.
Do I get the points back?
You will certainly get some back. It was indeed, there's a Teutonic, Celtic and pagan view that if you survived the winter solstice on the 21st of December, you have a feast to celebrate. But also, there was the Roman god.
Was it Saturnalia?
There was the Saturnalia was also at that time of year, but there was Mithras.
Just the two of them were there?
Well, there are amazing things claimed about Mithras, and I'll read you some of them. He was a saviour, Mithras, sent to Earth to live as a mortal, through whom it was possible for sinners to be reborn into immortal life. He died for our sins, but came back to life the following Sunday. He was born of a virgin on December the 25th in a manger or perhaps a cave, attended by shepherds, and became known as the light of the world. He had 12 disciples with whom he shared a last meal before dying. His devotees symbolically consumed the flesh and blood of him. Because Mithras was a sun god, he was worshipped on Sundays.
Is he a tribute band?
He's often depicted with a halo around his head.
Oh.
And Mithraists gave each other gifts on December the 25th. The leader of the religion was called a Papa, and their HQ was on Vatican Hill in Rome.
And you're kind of writing off the chance that this was just a massive coincidence. And that one day they all went to the Vatican and went, what? Hang on.
Well, a lot of Christian scholars have since been very angry at some of this research which came out in 1903 about Mithraists, and they claim it's nonsense.
There's a few flaws, though, aren't there? I mean, I've never heard a bloke go, oh, Mithras, when he's coming. Have you?
No, you're right. I'm not sure that Christians would point to that as somehow a vindication of their religion. It's certainly true that there are dozens of religions in world mythology that have had visits by wise men, kings who've killed children to stop the new king being born. There's a great deal in Christianity that is traditional. And however wonderful people think the story is, it's frankly not original.
This is an interesting direction to start your Christmas special with.
Well, what Christmas tradition did American insurance companies try to ban in the year 1908? Johnny Donegan.
I was given this thought earlier by something that Phil said, actually, and I think I've got this one, actually.
Yeah.
They banned the placing of dimes, not sixpences, in Christmas puddings because too many people were choking on them.
No, it's an intelligent answer, and it had, oddly, nothing to do with Wagner again, but
Yes.
it's not right. It's not right. No, it's not right. It's not right.
Did you know that the first ever life insurance policy was taken out, I think, in about 1863, and a man called... Was it Stanley Gibbons? No, he's the stamp bloke.
Yes.
Anyway, it's called Gibbons.
Right.
And he insured his life for £383 or something for a year. And he died 4 weeks short of the year. So his family turned up to claim the first ever life insurance policy. And the underwriters, there were 16 underwriters, they all got together. And they decided that the only way they were going to avoid paying this huge sum of money was to define a year on their own terms. And they decided that a year was 12 times 4 weeks. Because that's a month. So they said, no, strictly by defining a year, he lived for the full term.
But they've changed now, insurance companies, haven't they?
Yes.
Now they love to pay out. And they say, oh, to hell with the small print. Here's your money. That's a very... If that's true, yes.
I have an image of an early black and white film, of a Christmas film.
Yeah.
They had live candles all over the place, and live candles were all over the tree.
Johnny, I smelled 5 points quite right. Chicago Hospital burned down in 1885, the whole hospital, because of a candle on a Christmas tree. 3 separate Father Christmases died, and this isn't funny, by the way. Yes, it's not funny by bending down to pick up presents under the tree and their beards catching fire.
There's a Christmas to remember. You're that kid. Santa bends down, comes up.
When I took my husband home for our first Christmas together, I got so self-conscious about all the things that my family do at Christmas.
What do you do that's
Well, we have a set of bells that we sit round. We each have a different. Everybody. Okay, we've got a set of bells.
Yeah.
There's 8 bells.
Eight
Right, how
bells.
many of you?
Full octave.
Well, there's only 4 of us in my family.
Oh, 2 bells each?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then now my husband's joined.
Oh, no!
Yeah. No, that's good. That's another person, yeah.
Right.
That's another person. I'm glad you recognise him as such.
In 1987, my mum wrote out loads of Christmas songs on sort of boards with all the bell numbers.
Right.
And we just do that for about 2 or 3 days.
We had a similar thing. What Mum and Dad's friends would all come over, like Sri Lankan friends. They would get drunk and then they would turn over like bins and stuff like that, and then start banging on them and singing like old traditional Sri Lankan songs.
Is that true, Shanti? Is that true?
Yes, it's very true.
It's true. No?
You know-
Checking everything you say, Ramesh. Yeah.
Confirmation, please. Keep from hell. Can we have confirmation that he's telling the truth?
Got this horrible, judgmental Wikipedia scene.
Checking all your gags.
Yeah, no, that's true, Sandy. Don't worry, you can carry on with the anecdote. Off you go.
Someone from Holly's family going, there's a load of shit about the bells. There are 16 bells, you lying cow.
So like they would get like buckets and turn them over, and then just like my dad would just be like that for like hours.
Did you 2 live anywhere near each other?
Links up on a little tour, coffee and cream on the road. But then one Christmas we did that, and then the next morning we took the blanket off the budgie cage and they were dead.
Had you beaten the birds to death?
No, they just didn't like Sri Lankan music.
I think your mum thinks that's not true. I've never had a budgie.
Just really racist budgies.
Please. Now, which king appeared on the first British Christmas stamp?
George V. Wenceslas.
Yes! You're absolutely right. So, in 1963, the then Postmaster General was Tony Benn. And he launched a competition in conjunction with Blue Peter and the Post Office to design Britain's very first Christmas stamp. And 6-year-old Tasvia Shemza, that's her there on the right, she won with a Good King Wenceslas design. And James Berry, next to her, he got a 1 and 6pence stamp. But here is her stamp. So he was the only king on the stamp, because, of course, the monarch is Queen Elizabeth II. And Tasvia is in the audience. There she is. There she is, all grown up. Oh. Congratulations.
That's the longest round of applause we've ever had for anything. I love your stamp.
Tasvia, was the picture based on anybody?
Well, it was indeed, yes. It's not King Wenceslas,
Right.
as people say. It was actually a picture of my dad.
Oh, a picture of your dad! There he is. I think you did very well with that.
Sorry, if your dad is wearing that hat, I think he's a bit above his station, isn't he?
What I love about this is the stamp was issued in 1966. So, in fact, Daleks, which were introduced in 1963, are an older Christmas tradition than Christmas stamps here in the UK. What's the worst thing about Christmas lights?
Oh, they get terribly tangled up,
They do.
don't they?
The worst thing that I've encountered about Christmas lights is they get in the way of the remote control.
They do interfere with your Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Do they?
Yeah, the microwaves which come from your Wi-Fi router are quite weak and they can get blocked by stronger signals, and indeed the Christmas lights would be a stronger signal.
The man across the road from me changes my channel on my television.
You must ask him not to sit next to you.
No. He sits across the road and he changes my channel.
Oh, watching that shake.
And he goes...
Highland Games for you.
How small is this road that you can see each other so easily?
You live in a little model village.
I know. Susan Calman from Toy Town.
Stop turning me telly over, you bastard!
No, you forgot to open the little curtains.
So, it is the Wi-Fi, but it's not the first thing on the list. Its environmental cost is the real thing. It's incredible. So the US Energy Department, they did a study in 2008, and over the whole of the United States, a staggering 6.63 billion kilowatt hours of electricity use. So that is twice as much electricity as Cambodia uses in a year. Just for the Christmas lights.
Very dark there, though, isn't it?
Oh, Cambodia. Well, it's also more than the annual use in lots of countries. Ethiopia, El Salvador, Tanzania...
I don't like it, really.
Don't like
People
what?
go a bit overboard, don't they?
Oh, when they do the
I
whole
hate
house,
the
that makes
whole
me
house.
crazy.
What I don't mind is a moving reindeer.
Yeah.
Never mind that. You work on that impression all year, and then you bring it out at Christmas. What's it? Moving reindeer! Every year.
Christmas lights also responsible for a great many injuries. So people...
Tripping up,
Oh, my
burning.
goodness, yeah.
I mean, he's gone the wrong side up a ladder. Only got himself to blame. This has nothing to do with the light. He's looked at the manual and just got it the wrong way around. This ladder's shit!
I like that ladder impersonation. That could double as a reindeer doing backstroke. That's very good.
I can't wait till next year on BBC Two, Alan Davis's Christmas impersonation.
So lots of people injured putting up Christmas lights. The average victim is a 55-year-old man.
Well,
Is he the one that lives across from Susan?
Do the Christmas celebrations always end up in a fist fight?
My house.
Is it a fighting household, Danny?
It's the only day of the year where you can start drinking at breakfast, isn't it? Like without...
Unless you're from Denmark, in which case, hey...
Every time of year there's an intervention, but Christmas Day you're like, come on!
Yeah.
Let's have a bit of Baileys on your cornflakes or whatever.
See, it's funny, because the Danes don't really have a tradition of that kind of fighting at Christmas. What we do is we do silent resentment. It's much more Nordic.
My brother and I are both married to white women. And at Christmas, my mum will invite us all round, and then she'll do 2 dinners, like a roast and a curry. And it just looks like we're encouraging racial segregation at Christmas.
Well, I'm going to find out if that's true, because your mum's here in the audience. Shanti, hello, welcome to the show. Is there fighting at the holiday season? Is there fighting?
They do. They do fight.
Yeah.
They do fight, yeah, both of it.
Well, my mum is... it's lovely to have you here, Mum. But she has encouraged my brother and I to both have very low self-esteem. That's contributed to it.
Well, there is a place in the world where people fight on Christmas Day, and they do it on purpose. In Peru, a town called Santo Tomas. It's high up in the Peruvian Andes, 12,000 feet above sea level, and they have a tradition which is called Takanakui, and it happens on the 25th of December every year. People dress up in costumes, and then they have fist fights, and they take place between every kind of participant, between the young and the old, men and women, rich, poor, sober, quite a lot of drunk people. And the idea is they're settling all their differences that have occurred during the course of the year. And it can be anything. It could be a property dispute, it could be a spilled beer, it could be a stolen partner or sheep or whatever.
There's a cultural sort of outreach thing in Crawley where we sort of celebrate that as well. It's called Weatherspoons.
Is it legally binding?
Yes, it is legally binding.
Right.
Whoever wins, whatever the dispute was, that's it, they have to settle
So they
it.
do this on Christmas Day, but what do they do on Boxing Day?
It's good to have an element of panto in the show,
take
which
it.
I like.
Who's behind you? We got your career.
But the reason why we have family fights at Christmas, it's what's known as hyper-co-presence. The idea is that we're forced to spend long periods of time with people that we don't want to, and it's what Sigmund Freud called the narcissism of small differences.
We just have our own family Christmas now with just me and Katie and the 3 kids, and that is brilliant.
I thought my children, when they grew up, would go away, and what they've done is gone away and brought back other people I don't know. Please. Now, which king appeared on the first British Christmas stamp?
George V. Wenceslas.
Yes. Yes. You're absolutely right. So in 1963, the then Postmaster General was Tony Benn. And he launched a competition in conjunction with Blue Peter and the Post Office to design Britain's very first Christmas stamp. And 6-year-old Tasvia Shemza, that's her there on the right, she won with a Good King Wenceslas design. And James Berry, next to her, he got a 1 and 6pence stamp. But here is her stamp. So he was the only king on the stamp, because, of course, the monarch is Queen Elizabeth II. And Tasvia is in the audience. There she is. There she is, all grown up. Oh. Congratulations. Tasvia,
that's the longest round of applause we've ever had for anything. I love your stamp.
Tasvia, was the picture based on anybody?
Well, it was indeed, yes. It's not King Wenceslas,
right,
as people say. It was actually a picture of my dad.
Oh, a picture of your dad! Oh, but there he is. I think you did very well with that.
Sorry, if your dad is wearing that hat, I think he's a bit above his station, isn't he?
What I love about this is the stamp was issued in 1966. So, in fact, Daleks, which were introduced in 1963, are an older Christmas tradition than Christmas stamps here in the UK.
Let me take you back now to your childhood and innocence. You remember all those white Christmases? Right. No?
OK.
No?
I remember one.
Yeah.
1971.
1970, the January was 71.
There you go.
Christmas itself, 1970. Had you said yes, I would buzz you, because you don't remember any, because you're from the southeast. You might remember a few more, because South Shields has had more. We've actually tried to work out how many white Christmases you've had. We think you might have had them when you were 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 9.
Wow.
Which is actually quite a lot.
That is quite a lot.
Because in the whole of the 20th century, if you lived in London or the southeast, there were only 4 white Christmases. I know. It is extraordinary. And they were in 1927, 1938, 1970 and 1981. As we know, in the 21st century, we've had a few. But what's important about this is that in the early part of the 19th century, around about 1812 to 1820, there were 8 in a row.
Oh.
Now, why was that important to our culture?
Is that when the song was written?
No.
No.
A certain child was born in 1812. We were
Jesus.
Norman! You really do need a little bit of a religious education. This was an author, a writer, who created the idea.
Charles Dickens.
Okay, Charles Dickens. For the first 8 years of his life, it always snowed on Christmas Day. And so whenever he mentions Christmas, not just in A Christmas Carol, but in several other novels, it's always snowing. And this helps the myth in British culture of a snowy Christmas. He also lived at a time known as the Little Ice Age. You know this, I'm sure you've seen paintings of fairs on the River Thames.
Yeah.
There were times when the River Thames froze so solidly they would have fairs, not just fairs, they'd have bonfires on the ice.
Those crazy cockneys.
Yes. they could guarantee...
Light a fire up.
Yeah.
It's freezing.
Let's light a fire on the river on the ice. What could possibly go wrong?
But the odd thing is, nothing did go wrong, because it was so thick, the ice. The last Frost Fair, as they were called, was in 1813-14 on the frozen River Thames. Wow. But anyway, this century we've had more white Christmases, as we know, but only 4 in the entire 20th century, and only 2 in our lifetimes. Yeah. More in Scotland. I'm really being very metrocentric here, and I apologise for that. What's the least imaginative present that you could think of?
Oh,
Yes, gift.
Well, it's got to be the gift voucher, hasn't it?
Yes.
The gift vouchers, I mean, it's heroically bad. It's walking into a shop and going, yeah, I've got some money here, could I exchange this for... This works everywhere. could it just work in this one shop? Or could it just be for a limited time period with some terms and conditions, but worth the same amount? Could I make this universally acceptable thing useless?
Well, without wishing to insult your country, it is the #1 present that women want in America is a gift card. Are you ashamed of your people?
I'm humiliated for Americans every week.
So who invented the gift card? Because it is a terrible idea. If you try and sell it to someone as an idea going, well, look, take the money...
It isn't it clever? It's $30 billion a year in America. $30 billion industry.
And how much of that is actually spent? Because I've got some Woolies vouchers at home.
I'll tell you. In America, only 75%. About a quarter is never redeemed because the recipient forgets or the time period elapses before they get to the shop to redeem it.
Period. You know, like money doesn't have.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. I know. It's astonishing.
I've got one at home. I can't find it.
Oh, that's annoying.
It's for a day driving around Brands Hatch or something.
Oh, well, no, that is fun.
That's really fun.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's probably expired.
I got one that was an hour in a helicopter. That was it, just an hour. There was no mention of a pilot or whether it would take you anywhere or whether it would even go off the ground. You just sit in a helicopter.
Someone outside.
What's that doing? Ouch! Come on, let's go. I never redeemed it. It was a shame.
What were the first gift certificates?
Book tokens.
Book tokens, right answer. And they were in 1932 by a man called Raymond, who was a publisher, who was rather disappointed to see one Christmas, when he saw all these presents amongst his friends and family, only 3 were books. And he realised the reason was that people were not confident about giving books because they couldn't be sure that the recipient would like that book. So he thought, why not just give them something that is good for any book they like, which is what a gift book token is. So there we are. That's them. For me to thank Carrie, Ginny, Bill, and... Oh, wait a second. There's one little boy here who still hadn't had a present. Oh, but here's Santa! Hello, Santa. Santa, what have you got for Alan? Have a feel in Santa's sack, Alan. What can you... Have a feel. What's in there?
Ping pong balls.
Ping pong balls. Now, I know a very exciting thing you can do with ping pong balls, but it's quite loud and quite dangerous. So, can you all put your ear defenders on?
Right.
So look Jimmy, at Carrie's ear defenders.
Carrie's ear defenders are very special.
Oh, you don't know, but you got me through some very difficult years. I only said that when you had the ear defenders on.
You go in the safe place. Jimmy, Carrie, and Bill. And ear defenders on in the audience, if you would. Good luck. Oh, well done.
Bye.
Right,
Alan, you and I are going to the extremely dangerous place. I mean, kind of suicidal. To put the goggles on before the... Yeah, all right. And I've got gloves, which you don't need to have. Right, OK, so here we have the ping-pong balls. We're going to pour in liquid nitrogen, which is 196 degrees minus, that is. Really, really cold. We're pouring it into this bottle. And it's fine in the bottle, but if you put it in really hot water, obviously this is gas, which is in liquid form. And when it heats, it'll go back to gas. But there's so much of it, it'll expand and expand and expand, and the bottle will explode really rather violently. So if you put it in, there's hot water in there. We're going to add these ping-pong balls. And the moment the bottle goes in, Alan, pop in all of them. That's it. And I'll pop in all of mine. And then we've got about 5 seconds. Well, let's go. Oh, gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, that's great.
That was genuinely like all our Christmases came at once.
Ding dong, merrily on high, and a very happy Christmas to you all!
Thank you.